Hey, it's me, Comrade. What's up, guys? We're back. Another day trading. Get it? Well, I'll put some audio effects in there next time. BTC, CRO, essentially the entire market's up. And no surprise that we do have the dollar down. That's what we usually expect. I'm watching it pretty closely. I'm tightening up the range here. It looks like the DXY is at the bottom of its range for the current next hour or so, and I'll be updating this as we fall out of it. Actually, it looks like let's adjust. Yeah, it's still lining up here pretty good. Like that's kind of the trajectory we're at, and we might end up still falling out for the next 2 hours. We still could fall down a bit further. Another, on the DXY side, we can fall down another. What is that? 70 basis points. But Bitcoin, has a nice pattern forming here. Come on, man, stop doing that. We got some pleasant looking reverse head and shoulders here, which of course might very well continue to the upside. We would hope so. Maybe we just did here. It's going to all depend on what the US dollar does here. Of course, I have an active trade. As I've been talking about, I've been building my longs, and we're pretty much at break even at this stage. But I have a pretty nice, relatively speaking here, anyways, a pretty nice quantity of CROs. $8,000 worth or so. I got some leverage on there, of course, but average price is about 13.7. So whatever that is, it's somewhere down here. We can easily get back into the red. I'm bouncing back and forth all afternoon since the U.S. opened in the plus minus 20 bucks. I'm looking for a decent return. I'm hoping for like 150 bucks today, just to call it a success. I'm really not looking for that much. I do have a bunch of orders selling out around this zone, as you see here in the 30 zone. Let's see. Yeah, in the 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. I got some selling out there, and then I'm starting to push it back up. I'm going to hold the majority for a much larger pump. I do expect that we will come fill in these gaps here that are left. These are kind of on my radar. Usually these spots up here which don't get filled yet. Someone's going to come back to get them. Basically, this one might have already been filled through this activity here, but this guy up here is still ripe for trading today. CRO is under average for what it's worth. Okay, we're getting some volume on Bitcoin right now, which is good because the DXY has come back down or is continuing to come down, and it's actually now on the bottom side of the Gann fan here. These ratios are really useful in showing you kind of where the market's at. So it's likely we're going to come up here and start rejecting, and then hopefully we'll be rejecting our way down as we have been. We've been kind of bouncing back and forth on this line, but it does seem the general trajectory today for DXY for the moment is down. So that means asset prices will be going up in terms of crypto and Nasdaq, and it looks like Square is at even. VIX is doing pretty good, showing that the markets are going to be moving up. Nasdaq's up not quite 1%. AMD, there's generally we're having a pretty green day. So I'm gonna I've been adding to my position, and I did trade out of it around the 12 mark, and then I rebought in actually around the 12.05 mark, because I didn't actually, I forgot to remove a stop loss from overnight that it never triggered. but it did this afternoon, and I was still feeling pretty bullish, so I rebought back in at a slightly higher price. So it was a little, today I spent a bit of time updating the charts, looking at some interesting longer term patterns, and I did have a request recently to kind of look at kind of predictions for when we will hit Bitcoin back, around the 30,000 mark. As I've talked about in the past, I actually won't be answering that question today, but I will do that in the near future, maybe next week or next week. But in general, as we've looked at, and I don't remember which chart it is. Is it this chart? Is it this chart? We did some MSTR analysis just yesterday, and this is all liquidity. These gaps here that were going to be filled, and they have gotten filled, and so it feels likely that MSTR, anyways, which is a very good proxy, let's say, for Bitcoin. I mean, if people want to profit on Bitcoin, they need to be moving MSTR, and if they want to profit on MSTR, they need to be moving Bitcoin. I mean, they're essentially one and the same. So you can short one and then accumulate the other, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of tricky ways that people can move markets and get into the positions that they want. And as I said, we opened up some new gaps, which right now it looks like we're coming up to fill it. So like that's nowhere close to getting us to 30,000. I think 30,000's more likely going to be up in this zone, or even this zone, or maybe even higher. I don't know. I didn't yet look at the charts to see where the equivalent is. I don't remember, but I would guess we would need to bring quite a bit more volume and price action on the MSTR side before we can imagine a 30,000 Bitcoin. But short term, it looks like we're going to go fill at least up to 230. Maybe next week, if things continue to be bullish going into the week, because we do have in 2 weeks, we have some big news coming out of the Fed. So over the next 2 weeks, we might, leading up to that, come up here, refill these gaps, and then the market will decide based on the information that we hear from the Fed whether or not we're going to go down. And unfortunately, there is this nasty gap down here still, which again, Bitcoin is going to follow MSTR, and MSTR is going to follow Bitcoin. So if we need to fill this, Bitcoin is going to also get absolutely dragged down, and that's that's from current valuation. Anyways, it's that's almost a 50% drop, right? That's not going to be pleasant. People are going to be really fucking pissed, right? And they're going to think that, oh yeah, we're going to zero. The bears are going to be super happy, and you got to watch out because there's a lot of volume up here, and there's really not a huge amount of volume in this space, so it might not actually be that difficult for us to get down there. And you can see, funny enough, right, that it almost got touched here, and then but the market makers were not ready to go fill that. It feels to me, anyways, that this is a very intentional move on someone's part to save this type of move to the downside for later, right? So after they filled all of their short accumulation up in the 1,200 range or 1,000 range or whatever it was back in the day when it hit all-time highs. So anyways, we do appear to be following this trend line as I drew out at least yesterday, maybe the day before, I can't remember now. And it looks like we're coming to an end, so I'll need to be updating the charts, and it does appear that we'll be likely resetting some of our expectations based on that. So I mean, we can just roughly do it right now. I mean, this could be the next zone, which would still be kind of leading us out to the end of the month. If we do end up going down here, what would that look like? That's gonna be not pleasant, right? But it does line up, right? So it's no surprise that these at this point it should be no surprise that these ratios always line up, right? and you can use them to kind of, or I'm using them, or I'm trying to figure out how to model it right mathematically and try to predict it based on this. But mm, kind of my day to day and week to week and month to month and year to year long trading plans based on these types of things. Because if you look out into the future, that means this is out in that's out in October, so it's actually not that far out. So we would expect basically by October, it looks like, maybe, to, if we continue this route down, to refill this along the current trajectory, which of course we will highly likely fake a bunch of people out up here because no one else is looking at this, right? Most people are not clever enough to recognize what's happening, I don't think. And they're going to be bullish, bullish, bullish. Okay, now is the time. We're going to be hitting 30,000 soon, and then right here we're going to get that news, and we're going to just come crashing back down. And by that time, it's actually just the right time for us to then hit these bottoms, refill, and maybe here. So maybe October. I didn't think that I was actually going to answer the question today, but maybe I will. Then we might start our journey back up to the top. It's going to be a long journey at that. So it's not like we're going to hit 30,000 immediately after that. There's going to be a lot of, these zones that got filled later are going to be contentious in the future. We'll get stuck there again. We'll get stuck here again. We'll get stuck here again. Clearly, these are the zones where people are trading heavily. And so there's going to be a lot of support and a lot of resistance. And we'll continue to look at those charts as we progress in the month, into basically every day going forward. DXY, what was I looking at? CRO, right? So CRO today is actually what's, of course, my actual trade, for various reasons. Again, it's just convenience on my part. And I did like for fees and that sort of stuff, because I'm using the trading platform. And again, so just looking at it, thinking about the day, we have the 800. Is that the 800? Yeah, 800 EMA here coming up pretty quick, which we'll want to overcome if we want to get bullish again for the short term. It's highly likely we're going to hit resistance there. It's likely that we'll hit, come up here, get rejected off of it. Not coincidentally, that's also a very nice fib confluence, because that's the start of the bounce of this last little nasty pullback, the dump that we had, and it's so it's reflecting a point of contention. We also have on the daily open, where the daily open was above the pumpy, I believe, from the bottom side of this to the upside. It was right there in the golden pocket, so we that's bullish in the short term. It's likely we're still going to come back down, retest 1219 in the next couple of days, and then hopefully continue back up towards the upside and reclaim some of this higher up 1250, 1260 range. I've been talking about this range for quite some time. It would be really fantastic if the DXY continues to drop, which it does look like actually we're getting to a contentious point. We can expect that at this point, Bitcoin, CRO, the dollar, and I have another 5 minutes of talk here that I'm gonna go, and we'll watch what happens. But we're in a contentious zone here based on current projections for both the short term, which is just the next couple of hours, and also the next I think like 2 days. This yellow one I've drawn out here. So let's watch it, in the next few minutes and see what happens. If we get rejected and get pulled back up, we're likely to come back, bounce off here, test to see if we're still in the downward momentum. Hopefully we are, and we can move down faster. Bitcoin will move up faster. CRO has just been sitting here around this point, about less than 1% gain. It's just like, but if we can actually crash through this zone here, then of course the next level is quite far down, right? So we can expect a pretty deep fall back into another 0.5% at least fall over the next let's say 24 hours, and that would be fantastic for Bitcoin and the other assets. We would definitely be seeing returns back into these previous dump zones without a doubt, and that for me would be amazing. That's where I would be looking ideally to be exiting, is around this 13 plus zone. But we got to get through some other important zones first. So if I am to talk about now just a little bit of the work that I was doing today, I started just looking out a bit further. I want to take a longer term view here. Let's look at 8-hour, right? So we have some interesting data here we can see, right? So I'm going to get rid of that fib. Yeah, get rid of that. So here's kind of October, November, December, and then if we actually go out even a bit further, we can look out all the way out to the end of 2024 and watch what we see here, right? I hope you've stayed watching till the end here, because watch what happens. So if we go, we're going to look. So October, we take some perspective here. Okay, the resistance of October is likely going to be around the 0.2. My targets at this time are going to be around 20 cents for CRO, and this is all translatable into Bitcoin as well. And I will be doing this. Oh, look, we're following through that very important resistance there, or support. So actually, I think we're going to be seeing some pumpage on the asset prices, and my longs will be profitable if I can exit them on time. Anyways, back to October. So October, the resistance levels are going to be around the 20 cent, and the support is going to be around 11 cents is my target. So it's a pretty, it's a 10-cent range. If we go out to November, the support is going to be in the it's potentially going to be a bit lower, which is nasty, right? Actually, it's going to be down in the 8 cents, and but support will be up a bit higher, and no, it's actually going to be about the same, about 20 cents again. So we don't get those 2 months there. It doesn't seem like there's going to be that much volatility, maybe, but this also could be wrong, and it could be rather up here that we would see the next level of resistance, which would be in the 30 zone. But my modeling indicates to me that it actually is going to be more likely. So it does seem like we have more resistance in the near future. And if we look at November, so then December, right? So I only have a couple minutes, so I'm going to move pretty quick here. And so I'm going to go December. Wrong, sorry. DF. December looks more interesting, right? December could be, a much a very hot time, basically. I'm looking at all the way up to a 57-cent target, and again down to there too. So I mean, bearish still is going to be still around that 11, maybe 11.8 zone. I mean, I don't think we're going to get much lower than that, actually. So this is the accumulation area, and just to end it really quickly, we can be looking at in January 2023 and all the way out to January 2024. Either one of these scenarios could be playing out, and I still see it lining up around the bottom side between 0.8 cents. Actually, this is more like 0.5 cents to 0.8 cents, all the way up to reclaiming. And it might take either to the end of this year, which is unlikely. It feels like this still might take another year before we see more than a year before we see reclaiming some of the prices that we had seen during the tip of the bull run. and these align up pretty good. But that's what I had to say today. So cheers.